Good morning and welcome to another pre-market review session with the Market Trader. My name's Ray, the Market Trader. And before we begin with our review of the markets, we're going to go ahead and take a look at we're going to review our risk disclosure, review our news, and then jump into our charts. All right, so let's go ahead and move into our risk disclosure. Just want to remind everyone that all the content that's being published and distributed by the Market Trader and its affiliates is to be treated as general information only. None of the information provided by the company or contained herein is intended as investment advice or an offer to buy, sell, recommend, endorse, sponsor any security, company, or fund. Use of this information contained herein is to be used at your own risk, and the company's partners, representatives, agents, employees, and contractors assume the responsibility or liability for any use or misuse of such information. We all understand that future trading does carry a fair amount of risk. It's not for every investor. Investor could potentially lose all or more of their investment capital. Only risk capital money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security should be used for trading, and only those individuals with sufficient capital should consider trading. Again, nothing contained herein is a solicitation or an offer to buy, sell futures, options, or Forex, and past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so now that we've gotten through the risk disclosure, we're going to go ahead and turn our attention to our news portal here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and open up our news portal. We'll take a look and see what news do we have today could have some impact on us on the markets. Just going to double check here that it's visible. It's indeed. Okay, so just kind of taking a look at the news here. Okay, so we have U.S. trade balance that has been reported here, which was, I guess, somewhat positive. Okay, we have earnings from Caterpillar, Pfizer, and AMD today. Okay, and then we have at 9:45 Eastern, we have PMI, both the S&P Services, S&P Composite, ISM, all reporting here between 9:45 and 10 a.m. Later this afternoon, we're going to have the Treasury, U.S. 3-year note Treasury reporting here at 1 p.m. Eastern, and then as I mentioned already, we have earnings after the bell here today. After the session. Okay. Let's see. Tariff of 35% if it doesn't meet obligations. Okay. All right. Some more tariff news. Okay, so now that we've gotten through our risk disclosure and we've gotten through our news portal here, we're going to go ahead and turn our attention to our trading platform here. Okay, so we're going to take a look at our first instrument, and that's going to be the gold market. The gold market continues to be in some sort of consolidation range here. Okay, as we get closer and closer to this apex of what appears to me an ascending wedge pattern. Okay, so again, we've drawn this before, but we'll draw it again. You can see that we are in some sort of wedge pattern in this market, right? You can see that, right? We're coming closer and closer to the apex of this move, and that is going to generate once it does break. While I don't know necessarily the direction of this move, I have a sense for the magnitude. Okay, so the sense, again, we've talked about this. The magnitude of the move is going to be somewhere in the order of this here. Okay, and if I take this and kind of forecast lower, we're looking at 30.55, and if I forecast this above, then we're looking at I think pretty close to 3,800, if not 3,800. Okay, 3760. Okay, so again, I think gold is coming up on I would say a rather big move. Unfortunately, what we don't know is necessarily the direction. Right now, gold has been on a march, I would say, in general, has been, even with this consolidation pattern over the last, let's say, 3 months or so, we've been we've been on a steady climb, right? We've kind of we've continued to slope higher in this market. Now we have this level here above us at 34.55, 34.56, as high as 34.75 or 74, where we've you know, kind of gold has hit their head, right? So they come up to this area, reverse away from it, come up to this area, reverse away from it, come up to this area, they reversed away from it. Now what we can say is each of these moves, the sell-off has not been as long, right? Has been shorter. So maybe we're in for yet one smaller pullback before we potentially break higher. That's something that we'll have to kind of, I guess, witness over the next few weeks. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead now and take a look at the 4-hour chart. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the 4-hour chart. We'll turn off some of our indicators here. Okay. And just get a sense here of what the market is trying to accomplish. All right. So you can see, right, that we let's see, taking a look at this Monday, we rallied up to pretty close to the edge of this area here, and since Monday, we've kind of I wouldn't call it a sell-off, but we kind of retraced here a little bit. And where do we retrace to? Well, we retraced back to a known area of demand over here around this 3400 level. Okay, so now that we've reached the 3400 level, it appears, right, from the view of these candles here, right, this candle in particular, that we did find some buyers here, right? So some buyers seem to have appeared here, okay, at this 3400 level, a known level of support. All right, let's go ahead now and take a look at the 30-minute chart. Let's take a look at kind of what has taken place here. So you can see here Monday, right? This is Monday session. Okay, we got into Globex, into Asia. Okay, so Asia was a bit, I would say, bearish. Got into a little bit of the London session, and they've also been bearish. Okay, so fair amount of bearish action, okay, I would say, over Globex, Asia, and London. But we get back closer to the US market and we've rallied. Now, we haven't really broken any structure. We've broken some structure, right? We've broken some channels here to the upside, but we are still technically maintaining some sort of bearish structure here, right? Price still remains below our VWAP, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and open up our fixed range volume profile here and just get a sense for where price is in relation to yesterday's price action, okay, for the New York session. So we're going to go ahead and drag that across. All right, so here we are. So you can see that price still remains below, right? Still remains below our value zone, where 70% of the price volume was traded. Okay, so again, if we are indeed in some sort of bearish structure, right? We still have a VWAP that's sloping to the downside. Then the expectation is that this area above, this area value area low here, is going to be a area of some sort of resistance. Okay, so that's my expectation, is that if we manage to get up to this level here around 34, 25, 40, that this area could potentially be a resistant area, and we will continue in our move to the downside. Okay, so that's an area to keep an eye on. Now we have this other area where we did rally away from it a bit, but I wouldn't necessarily consider it necessarily a level since it's been broken to the downside. But you can see that VWAP is right next to this 3420 level. Okay, and this was an area of some prior support. Now we're coming into it from the downside. So again, if we are unable to get above that, okay, this level here, right about here, okay, then I would say that area could potentially be another area of some resistance to price. Okay. All right. So I would say that headed into the session, given let's go ahead and open up our initial balance here. That we can go ahead and do that since the market is indeed open. Okay, so there's our initial balance range. So you can see this is the London or actually Asia range, right? We got a nice little sell-off of gold during the Asia session, and so we still have, I would say, a fair amount of bearish participants in this market. So we're going to go ahead and adjust this initial balance for the U.S. session here. Okay, the day session. All right, and you can take a look. You can see here that price is beginning to develop, I would say, a rather normal initial balance range. This one here was a bit on the extended side, okay? But we appear to be developing somewhat of a normal initial balance range. So for me, the question is going to become, are we able to get above VWAP? Are we able to get above some of these areas that I've identified as resistant? And then maybe these levels above will serve as maybe a little bit of a springboard for a continuation move to the upside. Now, doesn't appear I have this here on my chart. Let's see if I can turn this on here. There's my 9 EMA. Okay, so you can see that price has made it above our 9 EMA, which is also bullish. So we have kind of a little bit of a mixed bag, I would say, at this point, right? We have some indication that we're bearish, other indicators indicating that maybe we are turning bullish. So I guess for me, really, I need to see which direction that they end up taking initial balance, and then decide from there as to how I want to proceed with this market, right? So right now, I would say, given the overall structure, I would say that until we break above VWAP here, that I will remain somewhat bearish on the market. Okay. We're going to go ahead and add anchor VWAP here just to kind of get further illustration here. Hey, love wetlands. Sorry. Love wetlands. Sorry. My bad. Okay. So we're going to take a look at the start of London. Okay. So you can see that we made it above the 9 EMA, above the anchored VWAP, and we're hovering right up against the anchored VWAP. Okay, so this could be an area, again, that we could see maybe a continuation move to the downside. Like I said, we have a fair number of sellers here in Asia and in London. So the assumption is that if they are indeed, bankers or things of that nature, then they most likely will come in and protect these positions, okay, or add to their position if they think that over the long term that there's more bearish opportunities in the gold. But looking at the strength of these two candles, I can't deny the fact that maybe we could move into some sort of day of repair, okay, during the New York session, and maybe work our way up to some of these highs here, right? The high of the start of London here, okay, or possibly the high of the session, okay? So that's not out of the realm of possibilities here, okay? So that's kind of what I have for you for the gold market. We're going to go ahead now and turn our attention to the crude oil market here, okay? So again, we're kind of down in the doldrums here again on the lows. Here, looking at the daily, again, we can see, that we have quite a fair amount of weakness to the downside in this market. We are, again, back at this area of 65, okay, where we have seen some support for this market. But it just, again, feels a market that feels quite heavy, right, to the downside, okay, right? So, again, daily is not giving me any sort of indication that I should be, bullish, right? We are still very much in bearish structure in the crude oil. All right. So let's go ahead now and move down to the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart, we'll turn off our initial balance. Again, you can see that we're below the 9 EMA. I use the 9 EMA as kind of a trend following kind of indicator here, right? So you can see that price continues to maintain below this 9 EMA, right? So if on the 4-hour time frame I'm seeing this kind of price action, and I'm seeing that price remains below the 9 EMA, well, there's really no reason for me to kind of fight the trend and try to trade against it, right? I need to find a location, specifically the 9 EMA, to maybe participate in this move to the downside. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at the 30-minute chart. Looking at the 30-minute chart, again, you can see the same kind of view with more candles. We're going to go ahead and open up the volume profile here for the prior day here for Monday. We'll go ahead and drag that across to the close. And you can see, similar to what we saw in gold, we see that price is below value, indicating that there's a fair amount of sellers in this market who are willing to pay a premium to be a part of the market on the bearish side. Okay, so this is again indicating bearish. Okay, I'm going to go ahead, since the still technically we're not inside the day session for crude oil. We're going to go ahead and open up the initial balance here, and we're just going to go ahead and open it up for, okay, so this is Asia. This is US. Let's go ahead and open this up for Asia. Let's take a look here. Okay, looking at Asia, you can see that eventually it sold off. Okay, it was kind of hovering around this initial balance range and eventually sold off. If I modify that for London, I think it's going to be quite obvious that if we haven't broken to the downside, which we have, okay, you can see that price has exceeded this balance area, retraced back to the initial balance low, and continue to sell off to the downside. Now we are coming into some extensions here that could cause price to reverse, right? We're at the 100% extension and we have the 200% extension below. But at the 100%, there's always a possibility here that we could reverse from this location. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and add anchored VWAP to this discussion. For London, again, that's also given us an indication of bearish. So again, we remain bearish, and I would say bearish in this market. We are, I would say, a little bit extended to the downside. So it would not be out of the realm of possibility here that we could rally a bit. We have the initial balance low from London here around 65.75 that could be resistant. But I'm going to be waiting for the U.S. session and take a look at what the U.S. session is going to provide me in the way of a initial balance. Okay, so headed into the session, I would say that I remain bearish in the crude oil market. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at the NASDAQ. Looking at the NASDAQ, we're going to go ahead and open up the daily chart. Okay, so we opened up the day. Okay, we opened up the day with a gap. Okay, so whatever selling that was done with this candle was recovered in a single candle in a single day. Now we have a gap open that is not quite filled, but it's pretty close to being filled here. Okay. We have a gap to the upside. Okay. So indicating that folks are willing to pay a premium to be a part of this market to the upside. Okay. So that's something to make note of. Moving on to the 4-hour chart. We're going to go ahead and turn off an initial balance here for a moment. You can see that the 4-hour chart, if we look at, say, the start of, or actually so at some point mid Friday into Monday, and now coming into Tuesday, that we are in a market that is appears to want to be heading higher here. Okay. Price is above our 9 EMA. Price is kind of hugging our VWAP, which will become a little bit more apparent here when we start to look at the 30-minute chart. We are seeing a little bit of kind of a consolidation pattern here on the 4 hours. Okay, so I can't say with definitive that we are in a strong trend to the upside. We're starting to see a little bit of overlapping candles here. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 30-minute chart. Let's see what the 30-minute chart has to say here in this aspect here. So you can see, okay, over the course of, let's see, kind of looking at London and looking at Asia, right? Really didn't really, hasn't been really much in the way of any sort of new participation in this market during the overnight. We had a little bit of selling come in during the London session, and kind of basically remained in range for most of the London session. Okay, so we're kind of in range currently in the London session. So really nothing here other than, far more overlapping candles here than we maybe seen in the recent past, indicating that maybe there is a little bit of indecision up at these levels as to exactly which direction they want to take it. Okay. So let's go ahead and open up our fixed range volume profile. Let's see what the fixed range volume profile, what insights we can glean from that. So we're going to go ahead and open up the volume profile for yesterday's session here. Okay, so you can see that price is above value, so indicating that we do have a fair amount of bullish participation in this market. Although it's not, I wouldn't necessarily say this is the most impressive bullish move that I've seen. Right, a lot in the way of overlapping price action. Feels a little bit, maybe even maybe a little bit on the heavy side. Okay, honestly, on this time frame. Okay, we're going to go ahead and open up initial balance, but our focus initially is going to be on the Aegis, on the let's see, the London session. Okay, so London session here, you can see that the initial balance has not broken in either direction. Well, it broke to the downside, was met with some buying, broke to the upside, met with some buying, selling, and we remain in a range. Okay, so London really didn't tip its hat as to which direction they want to take this market. It's in range, it's in balance. They seem to be comfortable with where price is at the moment in the Nasdaq. Okay. Let's go ahead and let's see. We're going to go ahead and add our anchored VWAP to this discussion here. Okay, so anchored VWAP, this is the start of London. Okay, right about here. So anchored VWAP is kind of hovering. Price is hugging a lot of different variables here, right? So we have our 9 EMA, we have our anchor VWAP from London, and then we have our daily VWAP, right? So we're below two of them. We're below our 9 EMA and kind of working our way below our London. Okay. The only thing that's kind of saving us right now, and maybe it's going to get broken here in the next couple of minutes, is that price remains above a sloping, to the upside kind of daily VWAP. Okay. That's really the only saving grace right now that we have to support the bulls. Now, would not be out of the realm of possibility, right, that we come back to revisit, right, the value zone or value area high here from yesterday around 23,283, or maybe up to 284, depending on how I draw this line. Okay, 284.50, maybe something along those lines. So we could come back to this area, and this would be a nice logical area for price to potentially reverse from. Okay, so that's kind of so headed into the session. It appears that we have maybe some news in the horizon that could be causing price to kind of remain in balance. So yes, that is correct. Love Wetlands. I'll keep this London initial balance up until the first hour of the U.S. session. That is correct. Okay, because there is that overlap. All right. So right now we're still inside London's initial balance range, really not giving us any indication as to which direction they want to take this market. They seem to be in some sort of area of agreement, price agreement at the moment. Okay. So yeah. So again, headed into the session, I would say that I'm probably a little bit on the neutral side in this market, maybe a tad to the bearish side, but I would say that I'm mainly neutral. Okay, neutral on this market. I need some more information to really decide as to which direction they want to take this market. All right. So before I move on to the last couple of instruments, I'm going to, put on my marketing hat. I don't have a marketing hat, but I will put on my virtual kind of marketing hat here and just kind of encourage people to hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the comment button, hit the bell. Give me any indication somewhere on the portal here that what I'm sharing with you is of value and is supporting your analysis of the markets. Okay. Again, the likes and the subscribes and the comments are really kind of the lifeblood to content providers such as myself, and encourages me to kind of provide this analysis for you. Again, really is something that is quite important in order to maintain this kind of analysis on a daily basis. Okay. So with that, we'll go ahead and move on to our last couple of markets. We'll then come back and review. Thank you, Wetlands. I appreciate that. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the daily chart. Okay. So kind of an odd kind of scenario here, right? We had a gap to the upside, and we're developing a bearish candle. Kind of odd, right? You would think that if we gap to the upside, that we'd have a candle that is bullish, but instead we gapped to the upside. We really didn't fill the gap entirely, pretty close, and now we're developing a bearish candle. That's kind of odd for me. Okay, so similar to the Nasdaq, we have pretty much a very strong bullish candle that basically wiped out this day. Any sellers that thought, wow, now we got the market where we want it. They came in here and said, not on my watch, and rallied the market back to the upside. Now, the question is, we are still in a kind of, I would say, until we make a new high, we're not out of the woods. Okay. So the sellers could step in anywhere in this area, right? From as high as 64.70, as low as 6,400. I would say that this is an area for sellers, this area right here. So the bulls, while they managed to, close the market quite strongly, are still not out of the woods when it comes to this market. Okay. There's still a possibility that the participants who stepped into this market and sold it off could step in again. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at the 4-hour chart. Looking at the 4-hour chart, we're going to go ahead and turn off our initial balance here for a moment, and then we'll turn it on once we move to the 30-minute chart here. Okay, so you can see that right now we are kind of in some sort of consolidation range and have been in consolidation since the close of yesterday's session on the 4-hour, and we're starting to peak below, okay, a rather flat VWAP, okay, indicating that maybe we are looking to head lower in this market. Okay. Price is still above our 9 EMA, which is something that I especially look at on the 30-minute side. Okay. So that is still giving us, some indication maybe that we are still going to head higher. But the fact that we are in a flat VWAP, okay, over the last set of 4-hour candles here, 16 hours worth here. Okay. And now we have a candle that's developing. It's giving me a little bit of indication that maybe we are starting to develop maybe a scenario here where maybe price is looking to maybe reverse here from this bullish pattern here. Okay. Until it makes a new high, right? That I'm always on the alert of that possibility. All right. Moving down to the 30-minute chart. 30-minute chart. Again, we're going to do the same kind of analysis we did with the Nasdaq. You can see again, when we're looking at these VWAPs, right? The VWAP, we're kind of above it, below it, above it, below it. Okay, just again, an indication that we are in some sort of range price action at the moment. Okay, price is currently below both our 9 EMA and our daily VWAP. We're going to go ahead and add the anchor VWAP to this discussion here. We're going to locate the start of London here. Okay, so that's also below. A lot of indicators right now that indicate that we are heading potentially lower here. Okay, in this market. We're going to go ahead and open up initial balance since we're ways away from this market opening. You can take a look at the London session. Okay, London session was pretty much in range for most of the session here. Now we're up against the initial balance low of the London session. So the question now becomes, do we break the session to the downside? Okay, now it could be somewhat short-lived because I do see that we have this level here on the left-hand side that could be supportive. Okay, this area right here, it does appear to be an area of support. Okay, so it would not be a surprise. Okay, if we broke to the downside, found maybe some participants here to be again to drive price higher. Okay, that would not be out of the realm of possibility because we're not really rushing our way down. Okay, we're not rushing our way down. Although we have 3 candles here to the bearish side, we are still technically in bullish structure here, right? Outside of this most recent set of candles here at the close of Monday, we've been in some sort of range. So while this range could lead to maybe some bearish price action, I do see that we have some demand here on the left-hand side that could be supportive, and it could cause price to bounce and continue on the upside. Okay, so again, similar to my view on the Nasdaq, I would say that I'm kind of neutral, maybe to somewhat, maybe a little bit bearish, given the more recent set of candles here in this market. All right. So we're going to go ahead now and take a look at the last market before we summarize all the markets. Okay. And that is the Dow. Now, the Dow in past reviews has always been the most bearish. Now, they, on the other hand, okay, this when I was saying the most bearish, imagine this set, ignore the fact of this candle and this candle for a moment, right? You can see that we had a very healthy move here to the downside. Now, we ended up closing the day basically with an engulfing candle. Okay, we have a candle that engulfed the entire body of this candle. Okay, so I don't know about you, but that's a pretty bullish move, right? The moment I think that I have the market under control to the downside, I met with buyers. I met with a gang of buyers, and they drove. Basically, I made no progress in taking the market lower. Okay, now I have a developing bearish candle up against the 9 EMA. Okay, indicating that maybe there is some more downside to this market. Okay, let's go ahead and move into our 4-hour chart. We'll take a closer look at our 4-hour chart. We're going to go ahead and turn off initial balance. We'll turn that back on as we get closer, as we open up the 30-minute chart. So 30-minute chart, a 4-hour chart. Again, we're getting that, same indication here. 4 hours, we did manage to get above the 9 EMA. We're currently testing it now. We are below our daily VWAP, okay, developing a bearish candle. Now, is this merely a retracement for another leg higher? Well, if that's the case, I would expect that the 9 EMA should hold, right? If this is just a leg higher and we're basically just retracing here a bit, then I would expect the 9 EMA to hold here and we continue with our rally. If price should break below this 9 EMA, then and maybe retest from below it, then maybe we are in for maybe another a leg lower. Okay, so we're at an interesting level on the 4-hour chart. We'll have to see how that plays out over the course of the session here. Okay. All right. So looking at the 30-minute chart. All right. So again, similar to the ES, and we see that price is below our VWAP, below our 9 EMA here. We see that we do have an area here that could be supportive here. Okay. So we have, this is kind of the point of control. You can't see that here. Let's maybe modify this setting here to make it a little bit more visible. Instead of a black point of control, we'll make it a red point of control here. Okay, so you can see in the visible range volume profile here that we do have a fair amount of volume here. Okay, indicating should price come down to this level, the expectation is that it's going to be supportive, right? Anytime that you have a lot of volume at a particular price, that's an area where is going to be supportive, right? That means we got a good amount of transactions in both directions. It's when we get to these low volume nodes that we begin to move into some sort of trend. Okay, high volume nodes are supportive in general. Okay, so let's go ahead now and open up our initial balance for London. We actually peaked below. Okay, you can see that price has peaked below London. Okay, so again, out of all the markets that we've looked at so far, equity markets, none of them, maybe the ES maybe has already reached there. None of them were below the initial balance zone for London. Okay, so this is obviously a little bit more bearish than some of the other markets, equity markets. Now you can see that these candles aren't being produced without wicks. So there are signs here that buyers are amiss in this market. Okay, we got a little bit of a pullback here on this candle. You can see that this candle is just not falling down, right? We see that we have some wicks on either end. So that leads me to believe that there's still some buyers in this area here. Okay, even though we are getting a break of this initial balance zone to the downside, it is not with any sort of vigor at the moment. Okay. All right. So similar to my view of the other equity markets, I would say that I'm neutral to maybe slightly bearish. I get maybe a little bit more bearish on the Dow side, but I would like to see it, kind of break below this point of control here that I've identified here, right? That would give me maybe some further evidence that maybe we can head lower in this market. I'm going to go ahead and open up our fixed range volume profile here just to get a sense of where price is in relation to yesterday's price action here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and locate the start of Monday, drag that across to the close of Monday, and you can see price is inside balance. Okay, inside the balance area of London. Okay, so again, the Dow is coming across as the weakest of the three equity markets, but we are seeing again some indications that maybe this is just merely maybe just a little bit of a pullback into an area where maybe buyers could step in and add to their portfolios. I'm not sure, but we have the point of control here down at 44,207. That's the point of control that was generated from yesterday's session, and then we have the point of control above here that is basically created as a result of the visible candles that I have on this chart. Okay, so that's kind of what I have for you. We're going to go ahead and take a peek across all the markets since we have the time to do so. Here, we'll take a look at the gold. The gold headed into the session looks to be quite bullish. Okay, we did sell off sell-off during London. We've kind of found some extension levels to the downside. Price is now above our VWAP here, so which this could indicate that we could see maybe at least a full rotation of this initial balance area was established on the London side. So headed into the session, I would say gold appears to be bullish. Crude oil continues to be somewhat bearish, although we have kind of reached some extensions areas here, right? We have the 100% extension, but I would say that the market continues to show, weakness. Okay, so I would say heading into the session, I remain bearish on the crude oil. Taking a look at the Nasdaq and see how we're progressing. Again, it's inside range. Okay, inside range from London. Okay, indicating some balanced price action, indicating that we're getting an equal amount of bullish and bearish transactions here. There's no aggressor here. Okay, and taking a look at the ES. Okay, kind of following a little bit of the lead of the Dow. It's on the lower end of the initial balance range, so it's a little bit weaker, I would say, than the Nasdaq. And then I would say, at least on the surface, the Dow appears to be the weakest of the three. Okay, since it did manage to close below the initial balance range. Okay, so that's kind of what I have for you. We have about 9 minutes before the open of the session. I'm happy to entertain any questions you have and on any other markets, I could take a peek if you like. If there's a market that you would like me to take a look at and maybe look at from this kind of viewpoint, I'm happy to do so. So I'll kind of pause here and see if there's anyone that's interested in maybe a look or peek on a different market. If not, we'll go ahead and close this session as we close all our sessions, and that is to trade well, trade safe, trade like a pro, be a market trader. Okay? All right. All right, Andy. All right, Dirk. Have an excellent day trading. Again, smash the subscribe. Smash the subscribe. Smash the like. Smash the bell. Give me a comment or two on how this is supporting your evaluation of the markets. Okay. All right, guys. Have an excellent day trading, and we'll talk again soon.